Hello, everybody. It's Congressman Jamie Raskin from Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District. Hello to all my friends throughout Maryland and across the country who are tuning in. It's Friday, September 19. It is time for our favorite time of the week around here, Local Hero, when we get to salute and interact with the people who are making life in our district so wonderful and so great. And there are so many of them. And this week, our heroes are three very fine students and activist students who work with the group called FAIR, which stands for Students for Asylum and Immigration Reform. First, we have Kyara Romero Lira, who's a senior at Blair High School. She serves as the community director for FAIR at the Down County Consortium. She's had a very strong passion for activism and for defending and supporting the immigrant community. Next, we have Camila Chi, who's a senior also at Blair High School. She is the treasurer of it. Through her experiences as a first-generation Chicana, she's continued to bridge barriers in Montgomery County for students in MCPS. And she has been actively engaged in Democracy Summer, which is the project that I run in the summertime for high school and college kids to learn about the political movements of American history and the changes we've been through, and to be involved in political organizing today. And finally, last but not least, is Brian Diaz. He's a student at Springbrook High School and Thomas Edison High School of Technology. He too is passionate about community service and is active in FAIR, where he serves as the community director for Springbrook, Blake, Sherwood, and Paint Branch High Schools. And he works with his fellow students to organize events and to mobilize resources and to encourage students to get involved. He also volunteers at a local food bank, and he's always eager to step up to the plate when volunteer service is needed. So first of all, let me congratulate all of you, Brian, Camilla, and Kyara, on being our local heroes this week. Congratulations. So let's see. Kyara, let me start with you, perhaps. Tell us about how many kids are involved in FAIR and what kinds of stuff are going on at Blair High School.
So at the moment, at Blair we just had our our club fair tabling for students fair, and I would say a lot of students signed up specifically at Blair, but I know all throughout the county, students have been signing up during their club fairs as well. We keep track in a spreadsheet, which we will be looking at later to start helping students plan their activities at their schools.
So it's that time of year when kids are deciding what activities to do, what organizations to sign up for, and you're saying you're seeing a lot of enthusiasm and engagement with FAIR.
Yeah, I think it started off like last year, very during the end of the school year after our walkout at Blair, a lot of students started to like notice our presence in schools all across the county and wanted to be a part of that.
Tell us about the walkout.
Oh, it was incredible to just see all of Blair coming together and supporting a cause. I thought that that really brought a sense to the community that we're there supporting them, and that all of Montgomery is supporting them as well, and that Montgomery County is going to try and keep them as safe as they possibly can.
But remind everybody what this specific occasion is. I mean, I remember everybody knew about the big pictures of thousands of kids outside and everything. What prompted that, and what were the kids saying there?
So it all started when one of our classmates got deported, and we just thought it was very unjust that people weren't like aware of how close all of this has come. Like a lot of students just thought it was like, oh, it's in Texas, Florida, a lot of states that are like bordering Mexico, or Virginia, which is another state where a lot of immigrants are targeted, but it's right in our neighborhoods. Like it's you can just cross the street and something could happen. So it was just really impactful to see all the students come together and be aware of the situation that's going on.
So let me turn to you, Camilla. What are some of the positions that FAIR has taken? Is it really all about trying to support people who are in the community who may have a green card, but they're being targeted, or they don't have a green card, they're undocumented, they're being targeted? But what's the basic point of what the group is trying to do?
So, Students Fair is an organization that focuses on supporting immigrants, asylum seekers, or anybody who may be afraid of the current times we are facing. But we are mainly, it's an organization that is created to support students, especially because, our Supreme Court has allowed us to have any students of all kinds in our school system. But because of what the administration is, causing in our schools, it has made it seem like we don't want students like our peers that have been deported in our classrooms. So Students Fair is pretty much just an organization that wants to make sure that all our students know their rights. We want to make sure that they have every resource necessary to make sure that they can succeed and come to school safely every single day. As an organization, we can't promise that, we could save a family from being deported, but we know that we can, provide them the resources that are necessary. In the case that they are detained by ICE, we can find ways to communicate them with lawyers that are, donating their time to making sure our communities can stay strong and, stay here where they have set up their lives. And a lot of their kids have been in school systems for years, and it would be a complete change to have them, step out of our local District 8 school system.
Yeah, so you make a very interesting point, which is the Supreme Court said in Plyler versus Doe
Yes.
in the last century, basically that public school systems have to accept everybody,
Yes.
whether they're a citizen or a permanent resident, or their parents are on some kind of work visa or student visa, or even if they're undocumented. And then, but you're saying now we're in a situation where kids, especially from undocumented families, are feeling very much targeted. What's it like for kids? I mean, assuming you guys know any who are from an undocumented family, what does it feel like for them to be going to school during this time and trying to do the stuff other kids do in terms of their homework and clubs and everything?
Well, I know from my personal perspective, my mom, she works at a Title I elementary school called Kent Mill, which is also in District 8, MoCo. She has seen, and I've also seen from just Blair alone, the difference of how kids are not showing up to extracurricular activities that might have been after school. At back to school night, we already see such a low turnout in our Latino, non-English speaking populations within our schools, but back to school night, our stacks of Amharic and Spanish literature was just completely just untouched. We had no turnout, and we're seeing that families are afraid to show up. We're seeing kids being afraid to participate in like school events, like the plays and things that at one point were safe spaces for them are now like high risk situations where it could, change their entire life and change their entire family's lives as well. So.
Yeah, it's a very sad thing to think about. Brayan, let's come to you. I know you are very much of a community activist. Are you seeing the same kinds of things where a lot of kids may be afraid to participate in different sorts of community events and are trying to keep to themselves? And what are you doing to try to offer support to those kids?
Yeah, in our school last year we had a Know Your Rights training. We had a low turnout, so now we're trying to know your rights training during lunch, or like one-on-one with like counselors or with teachers. They could speak to the students in the classrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what kind of activism is going on at Springbrook? Do you have other kids who are working with you in FAIR?
Yeah, I'm a community director, so Springbrook has its own vice president and president. They have their own team. I'm helping them out, do a lot of know your rights training, how to see ICE vehicles, how to detect ICE vehicles, all of that.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what you guys are thinking about in terms of a program for this year, because there is such a regime of fear on the one hand, but I'm sure that a lot of your fellow students are inspired by what you're doing. So what are the kinds of things that you can do that you think would be successful?
I think like something that we've been doing a lot because it's been a little difficult to reach our students because, a lot of them are minors. We have unaccompanied minors in our school system. We have very different stories. What we recently have done, we had a training at our teacher board. So MCEA, we headed there and we are trying to connect to our educators as a way so that they can be another way for them to relay that information back to families, back to students who might not be able to attend, outside of school hour events. Because as of right now, especially like in our county, ICE is permitted in our premises as long as we are not in school hours or have school events. So it becomes difficult for us as a nonprofit to do things when we technically, like I said, are nonprofit. This is nonprofit work, so it becomes kind of difficult to find a safe place for kids to come and also transport them there and back. So educators, connecting with their educators and training them and making them understand, trying to break those barriers and also just those misconceptions people might have over immigrants is something that we're really focusing on right now, especially in our community that might not necessarily be from an immigrant or undocumented background.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Kyara, did you have any final thoughts for us before we go?
Well, yeah, I would say find your local fair chapter at your high school. Contact us also. We have an Instagram page, Students Fair. You can get a lot of good information on that Instagram. And try and get yourself involved in MoCo IRC. They're a lot of help for our community.
Well, look, that is Kyara Romero Lira, and it's been Camila and Brayan Diaz. These are our local heroes for their terrific activism that they are engaged in with Students for Asylum and Immigration Reform, which is a countywide student group that tries to lend help and assistance and visibility to the needs of kids who are part of the immigrant community. So thank you so much for what you're doing, and you're our local heroes for standing strong for your classmates. Thanks, everybody, and everybody, please congratulate them on being our local heroes.